Hello, so today I'll be showing you what is the best stuff to put into your in-ground compost bin that will hopefully not attract any unwanted pests like rats, cats and dogs. So a couple of weeks ago I made a homemade in-ground compost bin from an old tube that you can use for plumbing. So the reason why I made an in-ground compost bin is to help improve my garden soil. At the moment it's very dense, very clayey, and it's not allowing any of my plants to grow to their full potential, and they are just stunted with their growth. So there's two main ways that this composter is actually going to benefit and improve our garden soil. So the first way it's going to help is through compost leachate. Now compost leachate is a fluid that comes from composting. So if you've got a compost bin or a compost tumbler like I have, you will end up getting this thing called compost leachate, which is a byproduct of composting, and this is nutrient rich. And how the compost leachate will help? The compost leachate will leave the bottom of the pipe once the compost starts composting, and it will soak up into the clay soil, and it will then add loads of nutrients, and it also helps the clay soil become less dense. Now the second way that an in-ground composter works is with worms. So as you can see, this in-ground composter has got loads of little holes on the outside of it. This is to allow worms to be able to go in and also come back out. So not only are worms very beneficial for breaking down the compost inside the bin, but they can produce nutrients and castings that not only go inside the bin, but as the worms pass out through the little holes, they can then spread all the nutrients and the castings to the surrounding soil as well. So it helps out not only the compost, but also includes the surrounding soil. So now that we've got that covered, let's put this into the ground. And then let's go through what we're actually going to be putting inside. So when it comes to any type of composting, you usually want a mixture of greens and browns. And it's usually 1 part green to 3 parts brown. But as we're putting the compost in the ground, there's certain stuff that we're not going to be putting in there. Because like I said before, we don't want to attract no unwanted pests trying to dig at the compost in the ground. So when it comes to composting in the ground, brown materials are a lot easier as they don't attract many pests. So you can have wood chippings or broken down pine cones, household cardboard or broken up bits of paper, and dry leaves or dry grass. All of this are browns that can be used in our in-ground composter, and they're very easy to obtain. So the greens on the other hand are a slight different story. So usually green materials when it comes to composting is kitchen scraps. Now food scraps are perfect for composting, but if I was to put this straight into the ground, you end up having loads of different animals trying to dig this up to try and get to the fruit that is inside my in-ground composter. So we got to try and get green materials that don't attract many animals or pests. And the green materials are these. First off, and the most simplest, is grass. Grass clippings are a very good use for greens in composting, and because you can see here, I've got a nice lawn, so I'm never going to run out of grass. And next we've got coffee grounds and tea bags. And because everyone loves a nice cup of tea, you're never going to be short of tea bags or coffee grounds to put in your compost bin. So the reason why we use these for our greens and not our actual food scraps is because these don't tend to attract many pests. And yes, these are actually greens. Tea bags and coffee grounds are actually classed as a green material in composting. So this is the greens we're going to be using, and this is the browns we're going to be using. So now we're actually going to put them inside our composter. So the method I'm going to be using when composting is the lasagna method. So the lasagna method is basically layers and layers and layers of different types of material. And this method is actually really good because the brown materials, when on top of the green materials, helps block out any odours. Brown materials also helps absorb any moisture coming from the green materials as well, so it doesn't become waterlogged inside the composter. So we're going to start off first with browns at the bottom, then a layer of green, brown, green, and then finish it off with a layer of brown. So then at the top of the brown we can then start applying our tea bags again and our coffee grounds, and then once we're ready we can then add another layer of browns and then keep repeating the process. So let's do our first layer of browns, and this consists of a mixture of broken up pine cones and broken down tree bark. Now you can use twigs and sticks as well, but I like using this as the bottom layer. The reason why I like using these is because any water should be able to pass through here and go straight to the ground underneath to stop the composter from flooding. So we'll add the first layer of this at the bottom. So next I'm going to add my greens, and my greens are going to be my grass cuttings. And then same again, just dump them in. Just got to remember we only want 1 part green to 3 parts brown, so just be moderate in how much green you're putting in. So my next layer of browns is chopped up cardboard. Now this stuff is very good at soaking up any moisture that the green material is going to produce. So we'll add plenty of cardboard as our next layer. So the green layer again, and now we're going to add tea bags and coffee granules. But I tend to empty my tea bags right out. I don't tend to put the bag in as well, because it might contain little bits of plastic in them. I don't trust the bags 100%, so I tend to just take them out like this and then pour the actual tea bag leaves inside. And then the same thing with the coffee grounds. Now, if you aren't happy with the layer of greens, you can just add some more grass to it, just to try and bulk it up a little bit more. And lastly, my favourite brown material, dried leaves. Now this stuff is amazing for mulch, for compost, because it breaks down so nice and so easy, and is a very good brown material. So that is it. This is how I start filling up my in-ground composter. But there's one thing you might need to do. You might need to try and add some worms to it. Due to the ground being so dense and so hard, when I actually dug this hole originally to put this in-ground compost bin in, I couldn't see no worms at all. So you might need to add worms to it to try and speed it up a little bit, to try and get it to work faster. But you cannot do that, but it's up to you if you want to do it. So I hope this video has helped in ways you can actually put stuff in your garden to help improve it, and also not have any pests or stuff trying to dig it up. And if you guys are interested in anything else that I've been doing, please check out my channel, because I have got other videos and helpful advice as well. And this has been Josh, and I'll see you next time.